We are broadcasting live from the Crown Plaza. This is the Louisiana Association of Business and Industries annual meeting, and you can hear in the background. Things are getting cranking around here now as folks are coming in, getting themselves registered, picking up their name badges, getting geared up for the morning program, getting geared up for the lunch, talking about the upcoming governor's race as Stephen Wagasback tries to put on his interviewer hat. Joining me now, he's a regular on the show, especially during the legislative session, from Advantis Consulting, Jason DeQueer. What's happening, man?
Well, Brian, you know how I start these things off. Thank you for what you do. It's awesome.
I sit here and run my mouth.
It's so good to hear fair and balanced media.
Well,
and
thank you.
You're
greatly
good,
appreciate that.
no matter who your guests are, including me.
No, I love him. You're my tax guy. You're my go-to for where we need to be headed
So it's
on
good.
the taxing front.
Thank you for what you do, Brian.
I appreciate that greatly. Before we get into upcoming tax proposed legislation and whatnot, let's start in on today. I nerd out on today. I really do. This is one of those ones. It's not really like a pregame show, but like a preseason. Like this is
tailgating.
It's like the third preseason game in the NFL. Where everybody's dressed out, everyone's going to play.
Yeah.
It still doesn't count, but you know where the season's headed after today. So the LABI annual meeting. Tell me about your takeaways.
Well, let me tell you, I'm an executive board member of LABI, and I will tell you, this event is one of the greatest that we have in the entire state. It brings all businesses and industry together. Stephen and the entire LABI team do a great job. And if you're not a member of LABI and you're a business owner, you absolutely should be. The lineup is stellar. Mm-hmm. You're going to have a packed room here. We're going to have a gubernatorial quasi-debate.
I mean, yeah, this is going to be fun. And
where else can you go to get this, Brian? And I agree with you.
No, it's a big venue. It's a big turnout. There's going to be 1,100 people in there for lunch. 1,100 people sharing ideas at whatever tables they're at, and then you're going to have the 4 gubernatorial candidates up there. State Senator Sharon Hewitt's up there, Treasurer John Schroeder, Attorney General Jeff Landry, and the Disruptor. And I say that with love because he's got energy. He knows. He's got self-awareness.
That's right.
And he is going to throw haymakers.
Yep.
I don't know if any of them are going to land, but Richard Nelson will be up there as well.
Yeah, no, this is a great event. And if you're not a member, if you're a business owner, you're not a member of LABI, what they do for our business community, and I know we're going to get into it. And, Louisiana doesn't fare great on a lot of lists.
Yeah.
And LABI does a lot to try to attract more investment, more businesses, employ more people to the state of Louisiana, and really advocate for, small, large, medium-sized businesses.
We talked with Ted Abernathy earlier. He's going to be part of the morning panel comparing Louisiana to other states on an economic competitive front. I want to talk to you about comparing Louisiana to other states on a tax front. Where are we at right now, and where do we need to be?
Well, Brian, I will tell you, I credit the legislature for at least recognizing that we needed to start doing something. We were in the bottom 10 just 2 years ago. As you remember, all those budget deficit sessions we had where we were just throwing things and trying to figure out where we could get money from. I think at one time the governor said he was going to cancel LSU football. It was so bad.
I remember that.
And so we were going in the opposite direction. Legislature, the legislative leadership grabbed the bull by the horns, and we started to make the very necessary changes. In Louisiana, whenever there's a problem, we love to study everything. We had 10, 12 study commissions, and now the good thing is these first-term legislators came in with their sleeves rolled up, coupled with the term-limited legislators, and we were able to do some really positive things. We were able to lower our individual income tax rates. We were able to lower our corporate income tax rates. We've started to phase out the franchise tax, which is a tax on the capital of businesses.
Yeah.
You bring your capital to Louisiana, you know what we were saying? We're going to tax it, Brian.
Right.
I mean, what kind of sense does that make? We're trying to invite business, so we're starting to phase that out. We got close on centralized sales tax. We're not there yet. It passed out, but there are a lot of things that we still need to get done. But I at least credit this legislature for beginning to move. And you know what? We're not in the bottom 10 anymore. The new 2023 business tax climate rankings just came out, and we're 39. We got a bright, new, shiny 39. Now,
Wow.
that doesn't mean we're competing with Florida and Texas yet that are in the top 10, and we're still losing to Mississippi. We lose to Alabama in football, but we lose to Mississippi, it's a problem.
It is on so many levels, both financially and emotionally. We're talking with Jason DeQueer about the tax climate here. You mentioned the centralized sales tax collection. Are we going to have another go at that? Because that one hurt. That made so much sense on so many levels. And to get that close, to get to the polls, and then to have a bunch of individual districts with their little fiefdoms fight back, that one hurt.
I do think you will see a renewed challenge. I will also tell you, though, that this is an election year. So when things get a little tough in the legislature, people are thinking, number one, I got to get reelected.
Yeah.
And normally you don't even talk taxes during an election year. But I think this year's a little different. Legislators have tasted success. They want to continue the momentum. Many of these legislators ran on tax reform. And so I do think this session could be a little different. I think there will be another push for it. And in that ballot vote, it lost narrowly, of course. Your good friend Mayor Cantrell was against it, and that was the main.
Throw up a finger at that one.
That was the main parish that had everything on the ballot. I think if it gets back out there again, and the important thing about this, Brian, which I cautioned and warned on this show, is that Louisiana was going to get sued and say that we do not meet the Supreme Court's definition of a simplistic tax system. And guess what? We got sued.
Oh, wow.
Louisiana is the only state that has got sued for not having a simple system to collect taxes. What that means, and nobody wants this to happen, right? But what that means is that if the plaintiff wins in the Halstead Bead case, local governments would not be able to collect sales tax.
So thanks for the tease right there. This time next week, we will be at the Pelican Institute for Public Policy Solutions Summit. I had that guy on last year when we were at the Solutions Summit. I can only imagine if Daniel Arspomer is listening right now. Let's go ahead and book this interview. That topic is going to come back again at this time next week. We're talking with Jason DeQueer a little bit about what potential tax reform is out there. Jason, I got to ask, moving to 39th, right? So we're no longer in that bottom 10. Has success been a detriment to moving forward? Asking anybody but what are the biggest challenges in Louisiana's economic climate right now, they're going to tell you workforce and crime. Have you moved far enough out of the headlines to where it's going to be a battle to have to garner attention to continue to get to the top half?
Brian, that is a great question, and I do think it's going to be tough. I mean, we tackled a lot of the low-hanging fruit, decoupling from the federal government. Do you realize that when Trump cut taxes, everybody in Louisiana had a tax increase? Most people don't realize that.
No,
because our state is so coupled to what the federal government does. Every other state was getting a tax decrease. When Trump cut taxes in Louisiana, we actually got a tax increase. That's how we solved the deficit problem. The next couple of moves in terms of resolving the ITEP issues, resolving the centralized sales tax issues, resolving the inventory, it's going to take constitutional amendments. And constitutional convention gets brought up. Do you do kind of, just a small convention, a big convention? I do think you have a lot of constitutional barriers in the way, and as you keep pushing along, some of those discussions become much tougher. But I think that the momentum that we have had is propelling legislators to say we can get something done for the first time. We've been studying tax reform for 30 or 40 years without getting anything done. They had 7 initiatives. They got 3 done. I said if they had gotten 1 done, it would have been successful.
You did, yeah.
But they got 3 done, and I think that's a move in the right direction.
So picking up on that, carrying with that momentum, Louisiana's notorious for doing something once and then bailing.
Yes.
Like, as bad as we are about studies, we could do something one time, call it a success, and close the books. Tax reform is not something we could do that with because you have Texas, you have Tennessee, you have Mississippi, for God's sake. Like, we have to continually keep up, which means, I don't want to put it in like terms of working out, but you got to hit the gym 4 times a week.
No, that's right, and it's a great point because you know what, Brian? The other thing that people don't realize, yes, we moved out of the bottom 10 to number 39.
Right.
But other states aren't sitting still.
Correct.
They're still doing stuff.
Correct.
Mississippi
2 minutes.
phased out their inventory tax. They phased out their franchise tax, and they're looking to phase out their personal income tax, and that's our next-door neighbor. And so they're in the game too.
Right.
So you have to, like you said, you have to go to the gym every day. You got to up your game, and we got to continue the momentum. If not, we're going to go right back down without doing anything at all because other states are improving.
That's exactly right. Hey, we got a minute and a half, and I hate to squeeze you down to a minute and a half answer on this one, but
I'm getting nervous.
Is getting rid of the income tax in Louisiana viable where we are right now?
I do think it's viable.
Okay.
Brian, I do. But when most people think of getting rid of the income tax, it's the light switch approach. And this is what I want to clarify. Meaning, you can't phase it out overnight.
Right.
You have to phase it out over a period of time.
Yes.
Right now, the package has triggers on it. We are in a surplus. And if we have a surplus to a great extent, the income tax rates continue to phase out. Okay. I do think legislators could put that surplus or that trigger on steroids. Okay. And that way they would phase out a little bit faster. I do think that we can get to a plan where we say, let's phase it out over 5 years. Let's not wait till this surplus situation happens to buy down the rates. Let's put in a plan to begin to phase it out over 5 or 6. It just won't happen overnight.
Right.
That's one of those things because if not, it's a $3 billion revenue source for the state, and it's going to be difficult to find another source to replace $3 billion. But if you do it overnight, just like I'll tell you, on the sales tax, we were at 5%, now we're at 4.45. Our sales tax rate used to be 4%. I think people have kind of baked in the 4.45%, and then they've become a little bit accustomed to it. The state has got to figure out how to bake in some of those less revenues coming in from the income tax, but it's got to be done over a period of time.
And that is our pregame show right there. April 10th is the beginning of the legislative session. Jason, I've got you on board all session, right?
Let's do it.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to it. We are doing it.
Yeah, we absolutely are doing it. We're going to get you in. The first installment's going to be 2 weeks out from the session, and then we're going to be rolling after that. He's Jason DeQueer from Advantis Consulting. We are super late. Kind of missed your